Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning to our lecturer, Madam Nurul Hasanah binti Tamili and our fellow friends. Today we are from Group 6 want to present our chosen topic, which is the application of Bay'at Tawarruq in Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad. Before we go through the topic, I will share the objective of our topic. First is to identify the original principle and concept of Tawarruq contract. Second is to clarify the current application of Tawarruq contract in Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad based on the process and mechanism of Rusa Suasila (BSAS). Third is to determine what product that based on Tawarruq concept offered by BMMB. Next, to explain the adoption of Tawarruq as an alternative to replace the Bay Al-Inah contract. Lastly, to examine the operational comparison by Al-Inah and Tawarruq contract. For the introduction, I will start with Tawarruq contract-based product were first introduced by Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad in 6 December 2006. The BMMB Syariah Committee has accepted the implementation of Tawarruq contract in their product is to replacing the item in BMMB that based of Bay'inah. The adoption of this Tawarruq contract is to avoid the using of Bay'inah contract as it was regarded as being prohibited. These changes are also in line with the development of the current Malaysia Islamic financial system, which is require the use of new contract that are less problematic. That's all from me.
Hello and good morning. We are going to the first objective, which is to identify the original principle and concept of Tawarruq contract. My first point is definition of Tawarruq. According to Nasrul Muhammad 2014, the phrase Tawarruq comes from the Arabic word al-war and al-waraqah, which mean minted dirham or any silver coin to work as a medium of commerce. It also referring to someone who owns many silver coins. He also found that OIC Fiqh Academy, an organization Islamic corporation, defined that Tawarruq as a financial instrument in which a buyer buys a commodity in a deferred payment from a seller and then resell the same commodity on a cash payment with a lesser price to a third party. This transaction, also known as murabahah commodity, and is widely used in deposit product, financing, asset and liability management as well as risk management. Basically, there are two types of Tawarruq, which are Tawarruq al-Fardi and Tawarruq al-Munazzam. Tawarruq al-Fardi, also known as a classical Tawarruq, is a concept in which a first customer purchase product in installment from the first seller and then resell them in a cash to a third party at a lower price. So basically, the third party and the first seller has no direct relationship in such a setup. Next is Tawarruq al-Munazzam, also known as organized Tawarruq. OIC Fiqh Academy defines the Tawarruq al-Munazzam as a buyer buys goods in installment in the national or international market and the financial institution act to manage or arrange the agreement either by the financial institution itself or through the agent and directly between the buyer and the financial institution at a lower price. We are going to the next point, which is view from the scholar. There are three views on Tawarruq contract, which are permissible, prohibited and reprehensible. Most of the fiqh scholars have permitted Tawarruq to be practiced. The majority of early and contemporary scholars have no disagreement on the implementation of Tawarruq al-Fardi, but there are different opinions in application of Tawarruq al-Munazzam. According to the Islamic Fiqh Academy, Tawarruq al-Fardi is permissible in Islam, but Tawarruq al-Munazzam is not permissible. However, this is not to say that Tawarruq al-Munazzam cannot be used, but it is better to avoid it. The second use of Tawarruq contract is prohibited. Ibn Taymiyyah prohibited Tawarruq in some of his fatwa based on the statement by Umar Abdul Aziz, which is indeed Tawarruq is the origination of riba. According to Nasrul Muhammad, Allah forbade producing extra dirham from dirham owing to deferral, since it is regarded taking advantage of someone in need and defrauding him on his possession. Last is reprehensible. Most fatwas that saying tawarruq is reprehensible were coming from Ibn Taymiyyah based on the ruling made by Umar Abdul Aziz, one of the opinion of Imam Ahmad and some people in the Madinah including Imam Malik. He believed that tawarruq contract is reprehensible because has the same element with riba, which is getting more money from the money. Next point is essential element of tawarruq contract. Tawarruq refers to the exchange of property for property, which might be in the form of money or asset. However, if there is a deferral from either party, then it is a credit sale. To summarize, the essential element of tawarruq contract are the cash-based transaction, the sale, and the buyer's requirement should be met. Then I will pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Hanisa Soha binti Yahmin. I will present the next objective. The objective that I will present is current application of tawarruq contract in Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad based on the process and mechanism of Bursa Suq Asilak (BSAS). For your information, the application of tawarruq in Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad include the several contract like murabahah, wadiah, wa'ad muzim, and lastly wakalah. So we go to the murabahah. The price of murabahah, which is a profitable sale, refer to the sale and purchase contract which is binding in nature. In other words, it is a sale contract based on the element of trust in disclosing the cost and markup. So, when BMMB sell a commodity to a purchaser obtained from a third party, it perform tawarruq transaction. And if the BMMB use the murabahah contract, they can sell it for a higher price than the commodity source received. Meanwhile, wadiah, which is a transaction with the profit margin is less than the cost price, will sell the commodity at the same price as they acquired by considerably lowering the price. So, in wadiah, tawarruq financing occurs when a customer sell a product or commodity to another party for a lower price than the price acquired from the bank. Next, we go to wa'ad muzim, which is a legally binding vow that guarantee offer to a bank by a purchaser to buy a commodity that the bank has purchased. The bank can take the legal action against the purchaser if they fail to maintain their promise to buy the commodity. Lastly, we go to wakalah contract, which is the delegation, protection or authorization in which a person who has full legal capacity authorize another to conclude a certain well-defined permissible contract on behalf of that person. Wakalah is an agency contract where one party appoint another to act as their agent for a certain task. For example, a purchaser will frequently appoint a financial institution as a representative to carry out a muamalat transaction in today's Islamic banking sector. The purchaser will also pay the financial institution for the service rendered. In the current practice of tawarruq at BMMB, a purchaser can choose any bank to sell a commodity that has been obtained to another party. Next, we go to Bursa Suq Asilak. For your information, Bursa Suq Asilak is a commodity trading platform to facilitate Islamic liquidity management and financing by Islamic financial institutions. Bursa Malaysia established the BSAS to assist Islamic financial transactions that can provide the method for transacting tawarruq on real commodity market. As stated by Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad in 2012, the problematic practice of tawarruq using a platform like the London Metal Exchange makes BSAS offer actual commodity transaction where ownership and delivery of the commodity may occur without interference. For this reason, Bursa Suq Asilak was formed due to a partnership between Bank Negara Malaysia, the Securities Commission, Bursa Malaysia and Islamic finance sector participants. BSAS also allow purchaser to accept commodity delivery if their purchasing position exceed their commodity sale position and the trading account is not closed on the same day. To accept delivery, BSAS will charge the buyer a delivery price, transportation and storage expenses. Okay, we go to the current application of tawarruq based on the process and mechanism of Bursa Suq Asilak BSAS. This process can be classified into 5. So the modus operandi of tawarruq in BSAS platform are: first, at pre-market opening. The financial institution will bid and suggest commodities from commodities suppliers, which is it be placed into the system. When trade transaction will begin with mesh booking made through the BSAS system once the market open at 10 a.m. Next, the commodity supplier will sell directly to Islamic Bank A before the exchange of ownership of the commodity happen and transfer to Islamic Bank A. Second, demand for the commodity. In this mechanism, BSAS will secure delivery if there is a request for commodities and all parties involved will get trade confirmation before Islamic Bank A makes the payment credit to the BSAS account. Then, as a confirmation of the transaction, the system will give an e-certificate that include all trade information. Third, Islamic Bank A sell commodities. Moving on the next mechanism, Islamic Banking A will sell commodities to the purchaser or other Islamic bank based on Murabaha contract and paying by deferred payment. Therefore, the exchange of ownership of the commodity will happen and it will be passed to the purchaser or Islamic Bank B. Next, purchaser or Islamic Bank B sell commodity to BSAS. In this mechanism, the purchaser or Islamic Bank B will sell commodity to BSAS directly or via Islamic Bank A. Next, BSAS will pay the purchaser or Islamic Bank B by instructing Islamic Bank A to debit the account. Then, all the commodity ownership will be transferred to BSAS. The last mechanism is BSAS sell commodity. In this process, BSAS sell commodity to commodity supplier randomly and according to the offer match made in the actual market. The ownership of the commodity will be exchanged back to the commodity supplier. Once the ownership of the commodity has been transferred to the commodity supplier, it is free to be retraded or not in BSAS. For your information, the BSAS platform is very crucial for BMMB Tawarruq transaction execution, especially to verify it is a Sharia compliant or not. In 2014, to guarantee that all the transactions are Sharia compliant, BSAS has created relevant standard that must be followed, and it is: first, the commodity must be physically absent at the time of contracting. Second, the commodity must be in an independent state when offering, undisturbed by any sale or purchase transaction. Third, commodity must be kept in a certain area. Complete information about the location must be supplied when the offer is made. Next, the producer that making the offer must be the legal owner of the commodities. Then, the commodity must be deliverable when a delivery request is made. Next, the size, quantity and quality of commodity must be all properly defined. Lastly, each time a transaction is made, the system will recognize the commodity owner. That's all from me. I will pass this to the next presenter.
So, Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Aina Najiha. Now, I'm going to explain about the next subtopic, which is products based on Tawarruq offered by Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad. So, for your information, according to the Sharia Department of Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad, Islamic banking and finance in Malaysia offer a variety of Sharia Islamic contract for deposit and financing product. Therefore, just like other Islamic banks, Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad also has its own product that are in line with Sharia requirement. Thus, in this topic, we are going to have a deeper understanding about products that are in line with Sharia requirement that offered by Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad, especially in Tawarruq concept. So, let us begin. So, the first product is Savings Account I. So, what is Savings Account I? Savings Account I is a Sharia compliant product and it is based on by a Tawarruq concept. It is available to all citizens and permanent residents of Malaysia who have reached the age of 18 years old or above. Meaning to say, now we are now in our 20s, so we are eligible to apply for this product. So, how does the Tawarruq concept works in this product? First thing first, the customer will approach the bank as a dual agent to purchase and trade the commodities such as crude palm oil or any other commodities that are approved by the Sharia Committee of the bank. So next, the customer will buy the commodities at a purchase price before he or she sell the commodities to the bank at a selling price. So the bank will pay the customer on a deferred payment. After that, the bank will resell the commodities to another party, which is to the third party, another customer, in order for the bank to acquire some cash. So in this case, the cash will be perceived as provision from the banks to the clients. So Tawarruq is also known as commodity murabaha in banking practice.
Do you know what commodity murabaha is? Commodity murabaha refers to sales of specific commodities on a cost plus markup. The seller is required to disclose the breakdown of selling price, which include cost plus markup. Special features of commodity murabaha. Commodities such as crude palm oil is used as an underlying asset. Rebate is given upon early settlement and termination of the contract. The documents used is commodity murabaha contract and wakalah agreement. Financing flow of commodity murabaha. Customer approach the bank and appoints the bank as an agent to buy commodities. Next, the bank on behalf of the customer buys commodity from broker A. Bank then sells the commodity to the customer on agreed selling price, which includes cost plus markup. Next, bank as an agent to the customer sells the commodity to broker B. The sellings will be credited into customer's financing account. Last, customer will pay the bank via installment.
Moving on to the second product, which is Islamic pawnbroking, or also known as pajak gadai Islam in bahasa Malaysia. So what is Islamic pawnbroking? Islamic pawnbroking is an Islamic pawnbroking scheme where a qualified customer will apply for financing from Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad. So the customer must be the legal owner of the gold in order for him or her to acquire some cash, some finance from the bank. And the maximum amount of financing that the customer will receive from the bank is RM500,000 ringgit. As a matter of fact, this product is structured under the Wadi'ah, Tawarruq and also Ar-Rahnu concept, which the Tawarruq concept requiring a customer to agree into a binding promise in order for him or her to obtain some financing from the bank. So basically, the bank will buy a commodities from a supplier before selling it to a customer at a selling price, and the customer must pay the commodity to the bank on a deferred payment. After that, the customer will resell the commodity to another third party, in order to acquire some cash, and next the cash will be perceived as provision for customer, will be perceived as provision of financing to the customer. Next, just like the savings account earlier, this product is also available to all citizens and permanent residents of Malaysia who have reached the age of 18 years old and above. And this product, however, there are some terms and conditions that must be fulfilled in order for the gold to be accepted by the bank. First and foremost, the gold must be in grade 999, 950, 956, 785, 783 and 750. And second, any white gold or any gold item that has been fashioned into religious symbols other than Islam, as well as forms that symbolize violence, are not permitted.
Now, I'm going to explain about the third product. Do you guys want to buy a house? If yes, Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad will present you Property Financing I. What is Property Financing I? The function of this product is to assist you to finance the purchase of a residential property. Second, the profit rate is calculated on a variable rate basis, and of course, the Sharia concept applicable for this product is Tawarruq contract. So, what are the required documents that you must have to apply for this product? First, photocopy of IC. Second, sales and purchase agreement. Third, latest financing or any loan statement. And fourth, salary earning. You are eligible to apply for this product is you are in the age of 18 years old to 17 years old, you are resident or non-resident in Malaysia, and you have not been declared as bankrupt, or you have not have any legal action.
Apart from that, if a customer interested to take this property financing I product, he or she must pay for some other charges which are stamp duty, legal fees, valuation fees, and other fees or charges that are stated in the letter of offer. On the other hand, if there are any changes in fees and charges that apply to this product, Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad will notify its customer at least 21 day prior to the effective date of implementation. So besides, it is mandatory for the customer to have takaful coverage for this property financing I product, and however, they have an option to choose the service of any non-panel takaful provider, but it is still subject to Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad's term and condition. But at the same time, the customer is encouraged to obtain the takaful provider from the Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad itself.
Last but not least, the advantages of this product is it is a riba-free, affordable, and less likely to foreclose. So that's all the explanation about products based on Tawarruq concept offered by Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad from me. Now I'm passing this presentation to the next presenter.
There are many innovative efforts made by industry players to expand Sharia-compliant products in the form of investment and deposit, which provide fixed return to customers. Therefore, Baik Tawarruq product is one of the forms of effort made, and it was approved by the Sharia Committee. Back to the previous years, many classical contracts were introduced before the existence of Tawarruq. Some of them are Murabahah, Ijarah, Wakalah, and Bai'inah, and others. However, the Tawarruq contract has been specifically as alternative to replace by Al-Ainah contract, as there were some issues which very complicated to ensure that all transactions and processes are in accordance with Sharia regulation. So it is as an initiative to stop Bai'inah contract which contains many shubha and controversies over it. Hence, let us gain a deeper understanding on issue arising in Bai'inah contract. The main topic that worries it does not comply with Sharia is riba and trades in Bai' al-Inah contract. There are some opinions support that Bai' al-Inah is not permitted, especially the issue of riba existing in this transaction. According to Maliki and Hanbali jurists, the Bai' al-Inah contract is not valid as their main objective of the parties can cast the illegality of the contract. And one of the issue will be, is it permissible to trade an asset under construction under Bai' al-Inah? Actually, the answer is not allowed. And for the answer and explanation every issue that arises, is it confirmed in Sharia? It based on the condition of asset trade and also based on discussion between experts involved in this field. Many scholars believe that it is very important to take specific precaution and refrain from behaviors that lead to unlawful result in Sharia. However, they believe that the contract of Bai' al-Inah is not contrary to Sharia principle and it is valid. Bai' al-Inah was adopted widely by Islamic Bank in Malaysia before 2013. The Malaysian Sharia scholars have approved the contract mainly based on maslahah and the lack of Islamic financial product available in the market. By time, the contract has becoming popular in our Muslim society as it is one of the suitable ways
to adopt a product that based on Sharia compliance. However, after 4 decades of the implementation, Bai' al-Inah is slowly seen as the improper practice. This is because many customers are becoming aware and conscious about the maqasid, the objective of Islamic finance. As a result, they start to question the legitimacy of financial products, especially on products based on Bai' al-Inah contract. They are worried about the halal status of financial products that based on Bai' al-Inah principle. In addition, they also criticize the likeness between Islamic financial products and conventional products, as they found out that these products bring economic unfairness to them, as well as contrary from the maqasid proposed by the pioneers of Islamic economy. All in all, it has been perceived as the problem root, where some of them duplicate the conventional financial product with Islamic. Therefore, the customer were not dissatisfied about this issue. So, the Central Bank of Malaysia has urged all Islamic banks in the country to look for an alternative and come out with a solution. Regarding from this issue, Bai' al-Tawarruq contract has been adopted to replace Bai' al-Inah contract. However, Bai' al-Inah contract in financial product is still allowed to be implemented. But then, the Central Bank of Malaysia has strengthened in term and condition to a certain extent, has put off the application of Bai' al-Inah. Henceforth, the local Islamic bank in Malaysia start to adopt Bai' al-Tawarruq contract, which also known as commodity murabahah in financial industry. In short, Sharia scholars, the guidance of Islamic financial institution, believes that the adoption of Bai' al-Tawarruq in creating financial product complies with Sharia principle. The obedience to Sharia compliance means that the products are in line with maqasid Sharia. Therefore, Bai' al-Tawarruq contract is measured as the most practical option for Islamic bankers to come out with alternative for interest-free based financial product and become the best available resolution in fulfilling and satisfying the financial need of Muslim customers, as well as providing interest-free products under the current banking system. Last but not least, the adoption of Bai' al-Tawarruq contract is also a part of contribution to maintain the Islamic financial product in the real economy sector.
Next, I will explain about the operational comparison of Bai'-Inah and Bai' Tawarruq, the conditions of execution the Bai'-Inah contract and Tawarruq contract. So, as stated by the Bank Negara Malaysia, which is BNM, resolution a valid Inah contract should fulfill the following conditions. First, have two recognizable separate sale and purchase agreements, namely purchase agreement and sale agreements. Second, the contract contains no asset repurchase provisions. Third, each contract also has different time for signing. Fourth, the signing order of each contract is right, with the first sale contract being fully signed before the conclusion of the second sale contract. Fifth, there is a transfer of asset ownership as well as control over a valid asset, COP, based on Sharia and the practice of current business. We call it Uruf Tijri. Meanwhile, a valid Tawarruq contract should fulfill the following conditions. First, a seller is the legal owner of the commodity. Hence, he or she should own the commodity before selling it to the buyer. Second, commodity is identified. Before the buyer makes a purchase, the seller needs to explain the details of the asset. Third, property of the asset. The commonly used asset that can be transferred from one place to another is a contract that is in the type of transferable Tawarruq contract, and this asset is called movable assets, which is mankulat, such as rice, cars, and other. Fourth, keep away from Bai' al-Inah sales. Most of the fuqaha view that the sale and purchase of Inah is prohibited in Islamic law. Therefore, financial institution must avoid repurchasing assets from customer because the value of the asset sold has exceeded the normal payment.
As a result, if the bank buys an asset from the customer at a lower price than what the customer has bought at the bank's price, the contract will be a sale Inah.
Fifth, information about payment schedules. The installment sale or the deferred payment sale contract must be fully explained among the seller, buyer, or customer. Last one, keep away from usury, which is riba. The contracting parties will incur riba al-nasiyah to deferment when they are not carefully dealing with assets that cannot be exchanged for deferral. Now, I will talk about the differences of Buy-Inah and Tawarruq operation. Buy-Inah operation. In this Buy-Inah operation, a commodity will be returned to the seller. There are only two contracting parties in this operation, which are consumer and the bank. Hence, the content contained in legal documentation only consists of an agreement between the two parties stated above. The akad process is also limited to both of the parties. Last but not least, in this operation there are two separate contracts, which are the movement of commodity or property between banks and customer at the first transaction, which is deferred payment, and the movement of commodity or property between the parties at the second transaction, which is cash payment. Alright, now by Tawarruq operation. On contrary, in this by Tawarruq operation, the commodity will not be returned to the seller. A customer will approach a bank, then the bank will buy a commodity from a seller at the purchase price. Afterwards, the bank will sell the commodity to the customer on a deferred payment, whereupon the customer will resell the commodity to a third party on a cash basis. Therefore, it can be seen here that by Tawarruq operation consists more than two contracting parties, which are a bank, a customer, a broker, or a vendor. Hence, the content contained in a legal documentation will consist of an agreement between more than two parties or above, namely a bank, a customer, a broker, or a vendor. Henceforth, the akad process will involve the parties stated earlier. Lastly, this operation consists of more than two contracts. In summary, the operation of the INA contract is causing various problems. For instance, it is very difficult to execute legal ownership of a commodity and the transfer of ownership from the bank to the consumer and bank to the bank through by INA contract. Therefore, strict controls have been provided by Bank Negara Malaysia for commodity trading transactions between banks and consumer. Furthermore, the operation of Bank INA contract is not effective as it includes riba transaction. Thus, this will impact the financial side of the bank as well as customers who want to purify their financing accounts. Consequently, at the end of the day, the bank had to bear the risk of losing profits. In accordance to these matters, Bank Tawarruq contract has been implemented to replace the Buy-Inah contract.
The end. Thank you.
Alright, so as for conclusion, we can conclude that Tawarruq is one of the Islamic finance product that has been widely applied in many Islamic banks in Malaysia, replacing the Buy-Inah contract. Therefore, just like other Islamic banks in Malaysia, Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad also has its own product that based on Tawarruq. Therefore, we can summarize that Tawarruq has been widely applied in Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad. However, the community's knowledge and understanding about the risk of Buy-Inah contract is still at a lower stage, and many Muslim customers especially, they are still not knowing about the adoption of Tawarruq replacing the Buy-Inah contract. Therefore, it is suggested that Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad to always update and check on their internal and modus operandi from time to time to reduce the mitigation of Sharia non-compliant risk. And it is suggested that Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad to find a way to raise awareness about the Sharia non-compliant risk among the customer. Therefore, that's all from us for today. Thank you for your kind attention. With that, thank you so much.